Welcome to this introductory video on Module 5. My name is Alexandra Cowan, and I work with the Global Learning and Development Center. This module is the latest addition to the Facilitator's Guide and was developed in collaboration with the Global Data Service. It addresses one of the key gaps, the invisibility of persons with disabilities and data. It introduces the basics of collecting, analyzing, and using data on forcibly displaced persons with disabilities. Participants will learn why collecting data on persons with disabilities is important, what types of data can be collected, and which actions can be put in place to address barriers to inclusion. Let's take a look. Module 5 is divided into 3 main activities, which you can see here. Activity 1, understanding the importance of collecting diverse data on persons with disabilities. Activity 2, collecting data on persons with disabilities in practice. And Activity 3, analyzing and using data for the inclusion of persons with disabilities. The estimated duration for this module is 4.5 hours. Activity 1 is estimated to be 90 minutes, while Activity 2 is 2 hours and Activity 3 is 1 hour. A learning needs assessment is included in Handout 1 to help you decide on which activities might be most appropriate if you are short on time. However, if you decide to do the module in its entirety, we suggest including a 15 to 30-minute break in between activities. For example, you could complete activities 1 and 2 in the morning with a short break in between, and then a break for lunch, doing activity 3 after lunch. Again, you will decide this based on the learning needs of your target audience and other considerations. Now let's review each activity very briefly. Activity 1, understanding the importance of collecting diverse data on persons with disabilities, is all about raising awareness about why we should collect data in the first place, what kind of data we should gather, and the tools we have available to assist us. The activity starts off with a quiz on what types of data can be collected on persons with disabilities and how this data can impact their protection. See Handout 2 for more details. You can either ask participants to complete the quiz and review the answers in plenary, accompanied by the PowerPoint, or ask participants to complete each question followed by the answer and explanation. The second part of the activity introduces different purposes for collecting data and what types of tools can be used for each purpose. Case studies are used to provoke learning around what type of data and data collection methods should be used according to different functions, like reception, continuous registration, or resettlement. Handout 3 summarizes the 5 main tools that can be used. We won't go into further detail here because there is a separate video on Activity 1.2. Check it out. The key message for Activity 1 is that UNHCR plays a key role in collecting data on refugees and stateless persons with disabilities. In Activity 2, collecting data on persons with disabilities in practice, participants are introduced to the Washington Group short set of questions on disability. This is an internationally recognized tool used to identify persons with disabilities. The activity also addresses how this tool has been integrated into UNHCR's registration system, Progress. The activity is divided into 2 parts. The first part asks participants to recall the type of data that can be collected to support protection. This is followed by a discussion around the current methods of data collection, which often do not consider the complexities surrounding disability. The Washington Group short set of questions are then introduced. The second part of the activity dives into how UNHCR supports data collection of persons with disability through Progress for Specific Needs Entity on Disability. After a short presentation and discussion, participants will work in groups on an exercise where they will be asked to identify adaptations made with the new changes. The key message for Activity 2 is that data collection should always have a well-defined purpose related to protection and use relevant tools. There is not only one tool for all purposes. Activity 3, analyzing and using data for the inclusion of persons with disabilities, is the last part of the module and is very much focused on practice. It pulls together all of the previous learning and asks participants to identify strategies for inclusion on persons with disabilities. After a refresher on different strategies to address barriers, participants will be divided into groups and select one case study from Handout 8, where they will identify interventions to enhance protection and accessibility of information. The key message of this activity is that interventions should focus on mitigating barriers and that actions can be put in place even without data. A course evaluation is also included at the end of Module 5, which we hope you use. Please check out the separate video on the evaluation. We hope you found this Module 5 introductory video useful. Best wishes with your training.